in true Sony sense, they do nothing of interest with him, especially like him. His whole thing is his name is Kraven the Hunter in this movie, and I was like really trying to look for where they had some type of like sequence or action set piece or something like that where it kind of like shows him hunting and stalking his prey and sort of kind of just living up to his name as the hunter as opposed to just turning up in places and beating people up and needing people's help to identify who's who and where people are and this that, and the other. It was really jarring because like every time that there was like any type of action coming up, I was looking for that and I didn't get what I was looking for in that.
And then a bunch of more stuff happens and he meets Calypso and he just meets her, right? Like he says he can track everybody, and that's how he found her, but we don't really see him trying to find her. He just shows up at the funeral, right? And they then have this exposition scene where they recap everything that's happened in the last 30 minutes of the movie, where he just retells the entire story again to her. And the purpose of him tracking her down is that he is the perfect hunter who can track anybody anywhere, and so he needs her to find some people for him so he can kill them. Do you see the contradiction?
This was part of my problem. This is part of my problem in terms of like him not living up to his name in this movie was that he kept having to go to people to help him track people down in this thing. And as I was watching it, I was kind of thinking of the Batman movie with Robert Pattinson in terms of like how that played out of him sort of kind of being a bit more of a detective in that movie and sort of him having to like kind of put clues together and things like that. And of course he had like Jim Gordon as a partner who he was kind of like unfolding the mystery with. And I was like, you could have had something along some of those lines of even, if you wanted to change his character to sort of be a little bit more animal loving or whatever, you're in this world where there's like these like fantastical people, like you've got people like Rhino in this and people like the Foreigner. So you could have had an ultimate bad guy who maybe wasn't an animal, but was, I don't know, some type of like super powered being or whatever that he needed to track down, and that was like his like kind of like long game. And
that's the Spider-Man story, where he has hunted every other big game in Africa, and now he goes to New York to hunt Spider-Man.
The final hunt, basically. Yeah. And you could have even tied it in with sort of the whole like father plot, like you said, in terms of like him and his father having to go and sort of kind of like uncover the thing together or whatever. But that's everything that was missing in the story was like him actually being a hunter and like him tracking down, like using clues, tracking things down, finding things out about people, being like showing him to be like clever and showing that everything that he's learned from his father. And again, you have like that dynamic in terms of like his father's kind of like taught him a lot of what he knows, but again he wants to kind of go against his father and this and the other, and there's like some interesting conflict that can come from that as well, but it just wasn't there in this movie at all.
We never see him track anybody down, right? We skip right to the point where he has found them. Like I actually kind of like the whole thing where he tracks down this poacher in London and he pins the guy to the wall with the crossbow, and then he leaves and the door closes and there's a second guy stuck to the door.
And that works in the sense of like you don't really need to show him hunting those two specifically that well, but somebody like there needed to be like the end goal in terms of like I need to find this person and I need to use all of the skills that I have and this name of the hunter that everyone calls me by. I need to use that to find this person, and it just it was just lacking.